What up, two by y'all? Happy Sabbath, brother. Happy Sabbath, brother. Box is on. True coat. Feature booty, egg gathering. Other pots in the building. Shannon Floyd in the building. Arthur Tanis Davis and Israel is in the building. Got my rib in the building. All praise to the Most High. Give people a little time to check in. Shalom, family. All praises, all praises. Let you know. Sister Jessica, what's going on, family? Happy Sukkot. Feast of Tabernacle, Feast of Booths. Like prophets of Barcelona, brothers. This is the team in the building. What's going on, family? Wardy P, my beloved brethren, what's going on, family?
I could go home, sleep in the shirt, get on wake up tomorrow morning in the same shirt.
Play one more track and we're gonna go ahead and get started. Shirley Brown, happy high Sabbath to you, sister. Play one more track and we're gonna get started. That's right. On our way back. Now, I am the reader, brother. Boy, to be. Hey, the work must continue, my brother. The work must continue. We're going to do this thing all the way to the kingdom, man. You know what I'm saying? It don't stop. It never stops. You know what I'm saying? We're going to do this thing, baby. That's all right, bro. Hey, we holding it down over here, baby. I know you want to be here. It's all good. Take care of that other business, though. You know what I'm saying? Take care of that business. Take care of that business. Zion, they lie. Better be bad. The king of the Jesus, the body is Zion. Coming back in the clouds. Coming back with his chariots. When the last of his sound. Hold up, wait. He heard about them grapes. When we hit the wilderness, one Christian can't provide wine for a whole state. Now see marvels after day. High is like that's light work. It's like there's more to come. If you can overcome it, just wait. And on the cool anyway. To see what save his face. All along there's been a black man that made everything is our space. A lot of people gon' hate. A lot of people gon' hate. And if you won't, 12 shots running inside the gate. One day we gon' be on our way to Zion, rapping God, our Savior. We gon' gather us like these nation. On that day, it's gon' be a celebration. We on our way to Zion. 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 Our ball, your monkey brother, Ireland. Yahoo. Yeah, I see. Still bumming in the building. By real. When I be on TV screens, got the whole team with me, and when it came on, we gon' bring them all out and get it down. One day we gon' be on the way to our Savior. We gon' gather rich from the kids of the nation. On that day, it's gon' be a celebration. We on our way to Zion. 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 All right, family. All right, family. We already having problems out of Facebook. Already having problems out of Facebook. You know what I'm saying? So bear with me. Already having problems out of Facebook. Boy, I tell you. Facebook really trying to, they always trying to, every time we're going to air, it's like there's always some drama going. Let's see. Am I still good on Facebook? Somebody give me a 8 in the room if I'm still good on Facebook. I see y'all just joined us on Facebook. Can y'all still see me on Facebook? Y'all can't see me on Facebook, can you? All right, we're gonna reboot. We're gonna reboot. We're gonna reboot on Facebook. We're gonna reboot on Facebook. We go back. We reboot on Facebook. Hold on. All right, we back. Let's see. Like every time we go on, Hashitan be trying to play his little games. He ain't gonna get no glory around here though. We rebooting. All right, we back live on Facebook. We back live on Facebook. I like to say happy Sabbath, happy high Sabbath, Shabbat Shalom, Sukkot, happy Sukkot, Feast of Booths, Feast of Tabernacles, the Ingathering. All praise, honor, and great glory is unto our power. The power of Abraham, the power of Isaac, and the power of Jacob. It's your boy T Boogie. We back in the building, taking care of this kingdom business. To our brothers and sisters in the faith, as always, we salute you. Those that are 10 toes down with us in this spiritual scrap we find ourselves engaged in. I like to say happy Sukkot, happy Feast of Tabernacles, the Feast of Booths, the Feast of Ingathering, I-N, gathering. That is the title of tonight's lesson. That's the Feast of Ingathering, the Feast of Booths, and the Feast of Tabernacles, because I titled this lesson this way because it's a sequential order to this feast right here. Along with all the other feasts and the feast to come next week, there's a sequential order. So I titled it the Ingathering, the Feast of Booths, the Feast of Tabernacles. Okay? Because the Ingathering is the harvest. The booths are the temporary dwellings that we find ourselves in this flesh and blood body. And the tabernacles that we will receive when our Messiah, our Mashiach comes back. Those spiritual bodies, those spiritual tabernacles that won't be temporary anymore. So that's the reason in the behind the title, that sequential order that you see in the title of the lesson. So I want to go ahead and get into the lesson because we got a lot of scripture tonight. I know everybody's prepared their feast. You know what I'm saying? And Print Blake, what's up? I know everybody preparing their food for the feast tomorrow or tonight, however you want to do it, however you choose, you know what I'm saying, to keep the feast. It started at sundown. Tonight's going to end at sundown tomorrow. So, hey, we're going to do the lesson tonight. Then we're going to rejoice before our Lord here in Memphis. We're going to rejoice before our Lord, our high priest, tomorrow afternoon at the assembly. So the first place I want to go is John, the chapter 3. John the 3. And we're gonna read verses 1. We're gonna read verses 1 through 13. John the 3. And we're gonna start at verse 1. There was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a ruler of the Jews. The same came to Yeshua by night and said unto him, Rabbi, we know that thou art a teacher come from Yah. For no man can do these miracles that thou doest, except Yah be with him. Yeshua answered and said unto him, verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of Yah. So Yeshua dropped a bomb on this so-called ruler, this teacher in Israel, this master teacher, so to speak, in Israel. And he said, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of Yah. So Nicodemus is about to ask him a question because he's still looking at things in a carnal, fleshly manner. He gonna ask this question. It wasn't a dumb question, but it was a question because he was limited in his understanding of the scriptures, even being a master teacher of Israel. So he asked this question, verse 4. Nicodemus said unto him, how can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter the second time into his mother's womb and be born? Yeshua answered, verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of Yah. Now, this is getting on into the Father's kingdom. You see what I'm saying? Because when Yeshua come back, there's going to be mortals and immortals in his kingdom. But he said, hey, except you be born of water and the Spirit, you cannot enter into the kingdom of Yah. Verse 6. That which is born of flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Marvel not that I said unto thee, ye must be born again. He's going to be tripping on the fact of the matter that I said you got to be born again. He said, the wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but cannot tell what is listening to my conversation, but cannot tell whence it cometh and whither it goes. So is everyone that is born of the Spirit. So Yeshua let me know, hey man, when you put this flesh and blood body down, you're gonna be a spirit being. And just like you can't see the spirits now that's operating in this earth. He said, just like the wind blow, and you don't know where it come or where it going to when it get through blowing. He said, so is the spirit being gonna be. So let's continue to read. Verse 8. Pick it up in the middle of 8. But cannot tell where it cometh and whether it goes. So is everyone that is born of the Spirit. And we're going to get into this a little bit later in the lesson in Corinthians the 15. 1 Corinthians the 15. Nicodemus answered and said unto him, how can these things be? Yeshua said unto him, art thou a master of Israel, meaning a master teacher, and knowest not these things? See, that's what we be, I know we're at the Order of Mikhail that we bang on this hall. We bang on the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law. So he's saying you a master teacher. You don't even understand this because they still in the Levitical priesthood or the order of Aaron and not using their spiritual conscience and their spiritual mind to see the spiritual truths and the things that are to come under the order of Mikhail today. He said, man, art thou a master of Israel and knowest not these things? Verily, verily, I say unto thee, we speak that we do know and testify that we have seen, and ye receive not our witness. If I told you earthly things and ye believe not, how shall ye believe if I tell you of heavenly things? So he said, hey man, you don't even understand the small stuff. So you ain't gonna be able to understand the spiritual stuff. We're gonna break this feast of Ingathering, feast of Booth, Sukkot, Tabernacles down tonight. Let's go to the next place. Let's go to Exodus. Exodus to 23. So we're going to go back to the law and the prophetic meanings that's in the law. So we're going to Exodus to 23. And we're going to pick it up at verse 14. When we get to 16, we're going to break down this ingathering. Okay? Exodus to 23 and verse 14, and I read. 3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded thee in the time appointed of the month Abib. For in it thou camest out of Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty. So, hey, and we're gonna read this a couple of times, that when you come up to these feasts right here, you shouldn't come up to the Lord empty. You shouldn't come empty spiritually or physically. Your plate should be full. You understand what I'm saying? And you should be contributing to the feast. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna keep reading. You should not come before him empty. The feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering, the one we're gonna be dealing with tonight, which is in the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the field. 3 times a year shall all males appear before Yahweh thy power. Now we're gonna go back to that verse 16, and we're gonna break down that word ingathering. Going to the Blue Letter Bible, okay? And that is 8614. Listen what it says. 614. Asif. And then it's the outline of biblical usage says ingathering or harvest. So these 3 harvests, these 3 feast days, that the Most High just told Moses to tell the children of Israel are always centered around either a harvest or first fruit or gathering of crops. So you can't separate these 3 feasts without the crops. That's why we got eyes in the Holy Land, and we look at the ears budding over there doing unleavened bread and so forth and so on. And even to the time when it's time to gather in the crops at the end of the year or the 7th month. Now, that word comes from the root word 8622. Now listen what it says. Strong's 8622. Asaph. Okay, it says to gather, receive, remove, gather in, to gather, collect, to gather an individual into a company of others. That's key right there. To gather an individual into company of others, to bring up the rear, to gather and take away, remove, withdraw, to assemble, to be gathered. Okay, so that's key. That's why this feast is called the Feast of Ingathering, gathering, because this is one of the things that's going to happen is Yeshua, when he come back, he going to gather all his children back unto himself and unto our land. And then the booths, the temporary dwellings that we now dwell in, you understand what I'm saying? It's going to be changed into that heavenly tabernacle. And those who are so blessed to be in that first resurrection, we're going to read on down into the lesson. This is what's going to be the sequential order of things. But let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Let's go to Exodus 34. Stay in Exodus. Exodus to 34. Y'all excuse your brother. I got to read and I got to talk, so I'm going to be drinking a lot of water. Exodus to 34. We're going to pick it up. We're going to pick it up at the 18, brother. We're going to pick it up, brothers and sisters. Exodus to 34. And we're going to pick it up 18. We're going to read 18 through 23. Then we're going to skip down. 34 and 18, and I read. The feast of unleavened bread shalt thou keep 7 days. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread, as I commanded thee in the time of the month Abib. For in the month Abib thou camest out of Egypt or out of bondage. All that open the matrix is mine, and every firstling among thy cattle, whether ox or sheep, that is male. But the first of an ass thou shalt redeem with the lamb. And if thou redeem him not, then thou shalt break his neck. All the firstborns of thy sons shalt thou redeem, and none shall appear before me empty. Now, this is very prophetic meaning here, because he told you all the males should appear before him. So when he comes back, he did the redeeming at the atonement. He did the redeeming at the Passover. So now, when you appear before the Most High, you should be full of the Ruach. That was the reason for Pentecost. The first fruits of the first spirit, of the spirit, I mean. So these are all prophetic words too. Even verse 21. 6 days shalt thou do work, But on the seventh day, thou shalt rest. See, when Yeshua come back, it's going to be the seventh day or the 7,000 years. So this is going to be the rest that we're going to enter into. But look what it says in the middle of 21. In earing time and in harvest, thou shalt rest. 22. Thou shalt observe the feast of weeks or Pentecost of the first fruits of the wheat harvest and the feast of ingathering at year's end. Thrice in a year or 3 times in a year shall all your men children appear before Yahweh thy power, the power of Israel. And we're going to skip down to 26. The first of the first fruits of thy land thou shalt bring unto the house of Yahweh thy power. And thou shalt not seethe a kid in his mother milk, because that was a pagan custom. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, write these words, for after the tenor of these words, after the meaning or the purpose or character of these words, I have made a covenant with thee and with Israel. So nobody else is a part of this covenant. Just want to point that out. And he was there with the Yahweh 40 days and 40 nights. He did neither eat bread nor drink water. And he wrote upon the tables the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments. So again, you can't come before the Most High empty on these feasts. You better make sure you get there. He said these 3 feasts, all the men better come up, because everybody that's firstborn, meaning the firstborn of Israel, and as a nation, we are the firstborn. You better be at these feasts. You better observe these feasts. You better come up to these feasts and don't come empty. All right, let's go read it one more time. The book says, in the mouth of 2 or more witnesses, let every word be established. Deuteronomy the 16. Deuteronomy the 16. We're going to read it again. Deuteronomy the 16. And we're going to pick it up at verse 13. We're going to read 13 through 17. Deuteronomy the 16. Verse 13, and I read. Thou shalt observe the feast of tabernacles 7 days. After that, thou hast gathered in thy corn and thy wine. And thou shalt rejoice in thy feast. You shouldn't be coming to these feasts all ho-hum, bringing your problems up in there, looking all long face. You're supposed to be rejoicing, because this is a time of rejoicing, because this is the time when Israel will be gathered unto their Messiah and to their land. It said, thou shalt rejoice in thy feast, and thou and thy son and thy daughter, and thy manservant and thy maidservant, and the Levite, the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow that are within my gates. 15, 7 days thou shalt keep a solemn feast unto the Lord thy God, in the place which the master shall choose, because the master thy Elohim shall bless thee in all thine increase, and in all thy works of thine hand. Therefore thou shalt surely rejoice. He's going to say it again. 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before Yahweh thy power, in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles, and they shall not appear before Yahweh empty. Every man shall give as he is able. So whatever you're able to give, that you give, according to the blessing of Yahweh thy power, which he has given thee. So just showing you that in the books of the law and the prophetic things that's going on in the law, what this feast means. We're going to get into some more of that as we go down. Now let's turn to Leviticus to 23. And keep your mark in Leviticus 23, y'all, because we're going in and out a couple of times through the lesson. So we got to go back and forth to get the spiritual meaning and the prophetic meanings of these scriptures. But we're going to start in Leviticus 23. We're going to read verses 1 through 4, then we're going to skip all the way down and deal with this tabernacle. 23:1. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feast of Yahweh. So I always like to point this out. These are not the feast of Israel. These are not the feast of the Jews. These are the feast of Yahweh, our master. So anybody ever tell you, oh, y'all keep them Jewish feast, them Jewish holidays, them Jewish festivals? No, these are the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feast or my festival. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is a Sabbath of rest and holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of Yahweh in all your dwellings. These are the feasts of Yahweh, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their season. So now we're in the season of tabernacle. We're the time of tabernacle. So now that we know where we at, we're going to skip all the way down to verse 33 in Leviticus 23, and we're going to deal with this tabernacle. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of this 7th month shall be the feast of tabernacles for 7 days unto your Elohim. On the first day shall be an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. Now this is where the switch comes in. So pay close attention. On the 8th day, which is a part of tabernacle, he said feast for 7 days. But on the 8th day, and I know the young lion gonna do the 8th day lesson, but we're gonna touch on this just a little bit. We're just gonna touch on this just a little bit. And on the 8th day shall be an holy convocation unto you. Ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. It is a solemn assembly. You shall do no servile work therein. All right. So we're gonna drop that. Keep your marker in Leviticus 23 because we're coming right back there. But let's go look at some other prophecies about this tabernacle, this prophetic word about the body change. Let's go to Hosea 12. Let's go to Hosea the 12. All right. Let's go to Hosea the 12. And we're just going to read 2 verses of script right here. We're going to read verses 9 and 10. Pay close attention to these words that we're about to read, because this was a prophetic word that the Most High put in the mouth of our brother Hosea. 12 and 9. I am Yahweh, thy power, from the land of Egypt, will it yet make thee to dwell in tabernacle. So the same power, the same Elohim that got you out of Egypt, he gonna make thee to dwell in tabernacles. And we're gonna find out later on in the lesson what type of tabernacle, because you're in a temporary tabernacle now. You're in a temporary booth now. This little thing that we going through right now, just a blip on the screen compared to what if you make this kingdom what can be and what is going to be. Will I yet make thee to dwell in tabernacles as in the days of the solemn feast? What feast? What solemn feast? We just read about it, the solemn feast. Now, listen to this right here, verse 10. I have also spoken by the prophets, which Moshe was a prophet, Hosea was a prophet. And I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets. So similitudes or likenesses of something. That's why he had them build these booths with branches to symbolize these temporary dwellings that we find ourselves living in or moving in right now. But he said, I've used similitudes by the mouth of the prophets. Okay? So let's go back to Leviticus 23. Let's go back to Leviticus 23. And I hope I ain't losing nobody. I know a lot of people say, I put a lot of meat in my lessons, but hey, the Most High, we plant the seed, somebody else come water, then the Most High get an increase. But we're gonna try to make it as plain as we can. You hear me? In this lesson. So he said he uses similitudes, right? So let's go to Leviticus. Go back to Leviticus. We're going to 23. This time we're going to pick it up at the 39. You hear me? We're going to pick it up at 39 and read through the 43. Leviticus 23 and verse 39, and I read. Also in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered, understand, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast until Yahweh 7 days. On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. Now, again, young lion gonna deal with the 8th day, but the 8th day is something totally different because it's only 7 days in a week. So when the 8th day get in, it's something totally different, totally brand new. All right, 40. And ye shall take on the first day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and the boughs of fig trees, and willows of the brook, and ye shall rejoice before Yahweh your power 7 days. And ye shall keep it a feast unto Yahweh 7 days in a year. It shall be a statute. It shall be a statute forever in your generations. Ye shall celebrate, rejoice, celebrate in the 7th month. Ye shall dwell in booths 7 days, or 7,000 years. Mankind is dwelling in this temporary dwelling 7 days or 7,000 years, because you can read in that First Peter, a day unto the Lord, or the day unto Yahweh is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as a day. So we're going to dwell. He gave us 7 days or 7,000 years to get this thing right. And these are the 7 years or 7 days where we dwell in temporary booths. Ye shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israelites born shall dwell in booths. He didn't say nothing else about no other nations. All that are Israelites born shall dwell in booths, that your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim. I am Yahweh, your power. All right. So just showing you those similitudes. That's why I took you to that Hosea, to show you that hey, he used similitudes by the mouth of the prophets to show his ministry. So let's keep it moving, keep it moving. Let's go to let's go and see when all this is going to take place. All right, let's go ahead and see when all this is going to take place, and then we're going to get into the gathering of Israel. Let's go to Matthew the 13th and look at this parable real quick. Matthew the 13. Go to Matthew the 13. Go to the new book. Go to the new book. And again, I'm sorry about this Facebook, y'all. I see some people on Facebook, but I don't see any live chats going. But hey, I apologize. But it's like every time we get on, the enemy, he started acting retarded. But I'm not going to bring a railing accusation against him. I'm just going to do like our brother Michael told him and said, the Lord or Yahweh rebuke thee, Satan. All right. But Matthew the 13. And we're going to pick it up. We're going to pick it up at verse, let me see where I want. Yeah. We're going to pick it up at verse 24. This is a parable about the kingdom that Yeshua is going to lay out to the disciples. 13 and 24. Another parable he put forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, or the servants of the owner, while they slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up, meaning when it started to bud, when the blades of the wheat started to spring up, it said, but when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. And that's what we just experienced now. Every time we try to put in, or what these brothers try to put in work for the kingdom, something always happens. Something always come and drop the salt. It said, but when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then the tares also. So the servants of the household came and said unto him, Sir, Does not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? They said, Master, we know you sow good seed. So where are all these tares coming from? He said unto them, an enemy hath done this. The servant said unto him, without then that we go and gather them up. They said, hey, you want us to get them tares out of there? Look at what he said. He said, nay, that's why ye gather up the tares. Ye root up also the wheat with them. So he said, leave it alone. I'm going to take care of it. He said, let them both grow together until the harvest, until the ingathering. He said, let them both grow together. And in the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather ye first the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn, into my house. So he said, hey, don't worry about it right now. We're going to see what we're going to see. And in the end, we're going to get them tares first, and we're going to tie them up, bundle them up, and throw them in the lake. But skip all the way down to 36, and let's get the meaning of this parable. Yeshua going to explain. Then Yeshua sent the multitude away and went into the house. And his disciples came unto him, saying, declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. He answered and said unto them, he that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom. Who are the children of the kingdom? Israel. He said, are the children of the world. Are the children of the kingdom, excuse me. But the tares are the children of the wicked one. See, when you go to plant a seed or you doing work out here, it's always the enemy always gonna send somebody to try to choke that seed out, or to bring up something to try to put that thought or that seed that you sown in that person's head. He's gonna try to get it out of their head and turn them into a tare. The enemy that sold them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the word. So we know this is in the 7th day. You hear me? This is at the end of the world. So this got to be the 7th day or the 7,000 years. The reapers are the angels. So he's going to send his angel. We're going to read about that to gather his elect from the four corners. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend. That's them gathering them tares up and throwing them in the fire. And them which do iniquity or lawlessness or breaking of the law, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. That we just went to the 8th day right there. Who hath ears to hear, let him hear. Let's go read a little bit about this right here. Let's go to Daniel 12. Okay. We're gonna lay this point home on when this is going to happen. Because we just come out of trumpets. We're going to read a little bit about this. Listen what it says. Daniel 12 and 1. We're going to read 1 through 4. And at that time, what time? The time of the 7th trump. At that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. So Michael is the champion or the chief archangel for Israel. I'm going to read that again in case you missed it. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered. So at the end of the great tribulation, at the end of Jacob's trouble, that's when we're going to be delivered. We're going to read that again in Matthew 24. Everyone that shall be found written in the book, and many that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to everlasting shame. From everlasting contempt. And they that be wise, meaning the ones that kept the law all the way down to the end, and they that be wise shall shine shall shine as brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. So if you out here putting in work, turning people, hey man, you being wise and keeping these laws, statutes, commandments, and keeping the spirit of the law, he said those ones gonna shine forth at the last trump. Continue. Let's go to Matthew. Let's read a little bit more about that. Let's go to Matthew 24. We ain't gonna read the whole Matthew 24 because a lot of things in that Matthew 24. Nah, I tell you what. Let's go to Jeremiah 23 first. Go to Jeremiah 23. Then we're gonna come back to that Matthew 24. Jeremiah 23. Because all the prophets wrote about the resurrection. All the prophets wrote about tabernacles. All the prophets wrote about the ingathering. Matthew 23, gonna read verses 1 through 8. Look at what it says. Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and shatter the sheep of my pasture, said Yahweh. Therefore, thus said Yahweh of Israel, against the pastors that feed my people. So these jackleg preachers in Israel, in the Sunday church, he got a problem with you. He said, therefore, thus saith Yahweh, the power of Israel, against the pastors that feed my people. Ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doom, said Yahweh. And I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries, whither I have driven them, and will bring them again to their fold, and they shall be fruitful and increase. And I will set up shepherds over them, which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking, said Yahweh. Behold, the days come, said Yahweh, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper and execute judgment and justice in the earth. In his days, Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safe. And this is his name whereby he shall be called, the Lord our righteousness. Therefore, behold, the days come, said Yahweh, that they shall no more say, Yahweh liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of Mizraim. But Yahweh liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, and from all countries whither I have driven them, and they shall dwell safely in their own land. So he said, hey, there's going to be this righteous branch that's going to come up and going to deliver the children of Israel, and we're going to dwell in our own land. But let's go a little bit further. Let's try to look at this thing from another angle. Let's go to Matthew 24, because it ain't nothing in the new book that ain't in the old book, or vice versa. They try to make it, and some of these non-messianics try to spit on the New Testament. You understand what I'm saying? But that's because they are sottish and don't have no understanding of the scriptures. But Matthew 24, let's read 1 through 3, then we're going to skip down to 21. Then read 21 and 22, then we're going to skip one more again. Matthew, you hear me? Matthew 24. Look what it says. And Yeshua went out and departed from the temple. And the disciples came to show him the building of the temple. And Yeshua said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there should not be left here one stone upon another that should not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? So they asked him 3 specific questions. They said, when shall the temple be thrown down? What's going to be the sign of your coming and the end of the world? And we ain't got time to read all this, but we're going to skip down to verse 21. We're going to read 21 through 21 to 22. Then we're going to skip down and pick up at 27. He said, for then shall be great tribulation. And we read about that in that day. Such as then shall there be great tribulation, not since was the beginning of the world to this time, nor never shall be. And except those days should be short, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, who is the elect? But for the elect's sake, those days shall be short. Verse 27. For as the lightning, this is what we read over that day. For as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be dark, and the moon shall not give a light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. 31. He shall send his angels. We read about this in the 13, Matthew the 13. He shall send his angels with the great sound of the trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Now, we read that 3 different times, old and new. So let's keep it moving, keep it grooving. Let's go to the next place. Let's go to Genesis, the 49, because even our daddy Jacob prophesied about this. Genesis the 49. Genesis the 49. And we're going to pick it up. We're going to pick it up at verse 1 and 2, then we're going to skip down. Genesis 49, verse 1, and I read. And Jacob called his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Gather yourselves together and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel, your father. Now we're going to skip down to verse 8. We're going to read verses 8 through 10. Judah, thou art whom thy brethren shall praise. Now this is a prophecy about Yeshua, because we know that Yeshua sprang up out of Judah. It says, Judah, thou art whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be at the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah is a lion's whelp from the prey, my son. Thou art gone up. He stooped down, he crouched as a lion, and an old lion. Who shall rise him up? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come. Who is Shiloh? That is Yeshua. Until Shiloh come. When he comes, like we just read in that Jeremiah and in that Matthew, he said, until Shiloh come, and unto him shall be the gathering of the people. Until Shiloh, until Yeshua, shall the gathering of the people shall be. Continue. Let's go to Revelation the 5. Continuing on. Let's go to Revelation the 5. Flip back to the new book. Told you we go old and new, new and old. It don't matter. Saying the same thing. Revelation 5, we're going to read verses 1 through 5. You hear me? You know what I'm saying? Look, let's go to John the 4. Sorry. Here we go. Hold your spot in Revelation 5. We're going to go to John the 4 first. You know what? Go to John the 4. We already there. Go to John the 4. John the chapter 4. Make it clear. John the 4. And verse, we're going to pick it up at verse 7 for the sake of time. John the 4, verse 7 says, there cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Yeshua said unto her, give me to drink. For his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat. Then said the woman of Samaria unto him, how is that thou, being a Jew, ask drink of me, which is a woman, I am a woman of Samaria? For the Yahudim have no dealings with the Samaritans. Yeshua answered and said unto her, if thou knewest the gift of Yah, and who it is that said to thee, give me to drink, thou wouldst ask of him, and he would give thee living water. The woman said unto him, now I'll tell you what, skip down. Now we're gonna read them through. The woman said unto him, sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep, from whence thou hast that living water. Art thou greater than our father Jacob or Jacob, which gave us the well and drank thereof himself and his children and his cattle? Yeshua answered and said unto her, whosoever drink of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him, shall be in him a well of water springing up unto everlasting life. This water, this word, these commandments, they lead to everlasting life. Skipping down to verse 19 for the second time. The woman said unto him, sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Yeah, he was more than a prophet. Our fathers worship in this mountain, and ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. Yeshua said unto her, woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor at Jerusalem worship the Father. Why? Because you read over there in Revelation 21, it said, I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Yah out of heaven. And now the kingdom of Yah is with me. She didn't understand that. He just dropped a jewel on it. She probably missed it. 23. Ye worship, ye know not what. We know what we worship. For salvation or everlasting life is of the Jews. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him. Yah is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So if you're going to worship the Father, you can't be fleshly. He talking about even in your mind, and even when the Father's kingdom, you must be born again. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. And the woman said unto him, I know that Messiah cometh, which is called Christ. When he is come, he will tell us all things. Yeshua said unto her, I that speak unto thee am he. He said, I am the Christ. I am the Messiah. So now let's go to Revelation 5. Let's go to Revelation 5. And we're going to read verses 1 through 5. Revelation 5, verses 1 through 5. And I read. And I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within, and on the backside sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the book and to loose the seals thereof? And no man in heaven, nor in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look thereon. And I wept much because no man was found worthy to open and read the book, neither to look thereon. And one of the elders said unto me, weep not, for the Lion of the tribe of Judah. We read about that in that 49, that Genesis 49. The root of David have prevailed to open the book and to loose the seals. So he said, hey, a lawgiver shall not depart from his feet, and a scepter ain't going to depart from his hand. The line of the king of Judah, he had prevailed to open the book. That's why I read that John right there in John 14. He said, hey, I am the Messiah. I am the Christ. Continue. Let's read the last thing about this time when all this is going to happen. Then we're going to move into the gathering of the children of Israel. Let's go to Isaiah the 11. Isaiah the 11. Isaiah the 11. And let's pick it up. Let's pick it up at verse 1. We're going to read verses 1 and 2, then we're going to skip down. Isaiah the 11 and verse 1. Look at what it says. It says, and there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch, we've been reading about this branch, shall grow out of his roots. And the spirit of Yahweh shall rest upon him, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and might, the spirit of knowledge, and of the fear of Yahweh. Now we're going to skip down to verse 5, then we're going to read 5 through 12. Look at what it says. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, faithfulness the girdle of his reins. The wolf shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. So this is during the time of the rest, where there ain't gonna be no killing, ain't gonna be no animals hunting you down, ain't gonna be none of that. Animals ain't gonna be eating animals no more during the time when Yeshua gets back. And this is the same time at the time of the ingathering, at the same time of the temporary booths being done away with, at the same time your tabernacle, if you in that first resurrection, if you so be blessed that you're going to get your immortal tabernacle. It's verse 7. And the cow and the bear shall feed, their young ones shall lie down together, the lion shall eat straw like an ox. And the suckling child shall play on the hole of the ass, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice's den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yahweh as the waters cover the sea. And in that day, what day? That great day of the Lord. And in that day, the same time we read in Daniel when he stand up with that trump. And in that day, there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest, the millennial reign, the 7,000 years, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that the master shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the isles of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and they shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So he's going to set up an ensign among the nations, and they're going to be bringing you to your God. They're going to be bringing you to your power. He said, I'm going to set up an ensign among the nations. I'm going to set up a sign. Y'all better bring me my people, and hurry up and bring them. Continue. Just like in Matthew 13, so his reapers going to gather everybody up where they're supposed to be. And he's going to gather his children and his flock. Let's go and look at this here. The gathering of all the children of Israel. We just read a little. We're going to read one more in the new book. Let's go to John the 11th. Go back to the new book. We're going to get into this change of body in a minute. Let's go to John the 11th. John the 11th. And we're going to pick it up. We're going to read verses 1 through 2. Now we're going to read verses 45 through 52. John 11, verse 45. We're going to pick it up at the 45. We're going to read 45 through 52. Look at what it says. Then many of the Jews which came to Mary and had seen the things which Yeshua did believed on him. But some of them went their ways to the Pharisees and told them what things Yeshua had done. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council and said, what do we? For this man doeth many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. And the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. These jakes worried about their status in the kingdom of this earthly kingdom. Now look at this joker Caiaphas. Look at what the word the Most High put in his mouth. It says, and one of them named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, ye know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. And this spake he not of himself, but being a high priest that year, he prophesied that Yeshua should die for that nation. What nation? The nation of Israel. And not for that nation only, but also that he should gather in one the children of Yah that were scattered abroad. So he was talking about the nation of Judah, the southern kingdom. He said, not for that nation only, but for all the children of Yah that were scattered abroad. So again, this is the fulfilling of the prophecy that Yeshua in the last days is going to gather his elect from the four corners. Who are the elect? The children of Israel. This is what this feast is representative of. The Feast of Tabernacles, the Feast of Ingathering, the Feast of Booths. So you got the gathering together of the people. Then you're going to have the temporary dwellings changed into immortal tabernacles. Let's go look at this a little bit. Let's go to 2 Corinthians 5. All right. 2 Corinthians 5. 2 Corinthians 5. And we're going to pick it up. We're going to pick it up at the 1. We're going to read verses 1 through 10. Because Paul knew about this. Shaul knew about this. Look at what Paul said in verse 1. For we know that if our earthly house or our earthly booth or tabernacle of this tabernacle were dissolved, we have a building of Yah, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. For in this we groan earnestly, desiring to be clothed upon with our house, which is from heaven. This body is deteriorating. This body, you can't keep yourself from stinking. You can't keep yourself from aging. This earthly house is corruptible. And he said, we are yearning for our heavenly house, our celestial house. Verse 3 is so that being clothed, we shall not be found naked. For we that are in this tabernacle do groan, being burdened. And it is a burden to be in this earthly house. Because like I say, as you get older, your body don't react like it used to react when you were young. Your hair start getting gray, your eyes start going dim. Body be cracking and popping every which way. You can't do what you did when you get older, the things you did when you were younger. He said, for we that are in this tabernacle do groan, being burdened, not for that we would be unclothed, but clothed upon. We don't not want to be changed. We don't want to die, but we want to be clothed with that immortality might be swallowed up of light. Now he that has wrought us for the self same thing is Yah. He built us, he born us into this world, into this atmosphere to become like him. Middle of 5, who also has given us unto us the earnest of the Spirit. Therefore, we are always confident, knowing that whilst we are at home in the body, we are absent from the master. So as long as we're in this body, we can't see Because the book tell you, and that's why he said on the 8th day all males shall be circumcised, because he said flesh and blood cannot enter into the kingdom of God or the kingdom of Yah. He said, so as long as we in this body, we are absent from Yahweh. For we walk by faith and not by sight. We are confident, I say, and willing rather to be absent from the body and to be present with Yahweh. Wherefore we labor, we work, we keep the law, we keep the commandment, we keep the high day, we try to walk in love. Wherefore we labor that whether present or absent, we may be accepted of him. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Hamashiach, that everyone may receive the things done in this body, according to that he hath done, whether it be good or bad. So you fighting and scrapping, and everything you doing, you should be striving to get to that heavenly body on the good side of the kingdom. Because he said whether it be good or bad. So hey, everybody in the lake of fire, they gonna live forever. They ain't gonna die, but they gonna be weeping and gnashing the teeth. It's gonna be burning and worms eating on your butt. So you gonna get a heavenly or immortal body. Where you gonna be at with that immortal body? So you ain't gonna be able to die and get away from this. You understand what I'm saying? Continue. Let's go to 2nd Esdras in the Apocrypha. Let's go to 2nd Esdras the 7th. You heard me? 2nd Esdras the 7th. And we're gonna pick it up. We're gonna read 5 verses of script. 2nd Esdras the 7th. And we're gonna read verses 13 through 18. 2nd Esdras the 7th. 13 through 18. No, you know what? I'm gonna pick it up at the 10. I love reading this script on some jokers who don't believe. We're gonna pick it up at 7, and we're gonna read, at verse 10, I'm sorry. Esdras the 7, we're gonna pick it up at 10 and read through 18. And I said, it is so, master. Then said he unto me, even so is Israel's portion, because for their sakes I made the world. And when Adam transgressed my statutes, then was decreed that now that it's done. Ezra been asking all these questions. And he said, hey, man, the interest of this world was made narrow. He said, but for the children of Israel's sake, I made this world. Continue. Then were the interests of this world made narrow, full of sorrow and travail. They are but few and evil, full of perils and very painful. For the interests of the elder world were made wide and sure, and brought immortal fruit. If they that live labor, if then they that live labor not to enter these straight and vain things. See, this is what we just read in that 2 Corinthians 5. If you don't labor to enter into these straight and vain things, they can never receive those things which are laid up for them. Laid up where? In heaven. We just read that in that 2 Corinthians 5. Now, therefore, why disquietest thou thyself, seeing thou art but a corruptible man? And why art thou moved where thou art but mortal? Why hast thou not considered in thy mind this thing that is to come, rather than that which is present? Then I answered and say, O Yahweh, that bears rule, thou hast ordained in thy law that the righteous should inherit these things, but the ungodly should perish. Nevertheless, the righteous shall suffer straight things, and hope for wise, for they have done wickedly. For they that have done wickedly have suffered the straight things, and yet shall not see the wise. And he said unto me, there is no judge above Yah, and none hath understanding above the high. So hey, we still labor trying to get into this thing, labor trying to get this immortal body on the good side. And we got to keep fighting every day. Let's go to the next place. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians and make it a little bit more clear. 1 Thessalonians the 4. 1 Thessalonians the 4. And we're going to pick it up. We're going to pick it up at verse 1. And we're going to read verses 1 through 13. 1 Thessalonians the 4. No, you know what? That's not right. We're going to pick it up at the 13. 1 Thessalonians the 4, verse 13, and we're going to read through 18. That's what I want. 13 through 18. Look at what Paul said. But I would not have you to be ignorant, brother, concerning them which are asleep, that ye sorrow not, even as others which have no hope. For we believe that Yeshua died and rose again, even so them that sleep in Yeshua will Yah bring with him. For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of our master shall not prevent them which are asleep. For Yahweh himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel. We read about that in Daniel 12. And with the trump of Yah, and the dead in Yeshua HaMashiach shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up with them in the clouds to meet our master in the air. And so shall we ever be with our master. Wherefore comfort one another with these words. So a lot of people say this is the rapture, which that's wrong, because they say we're going to meet him in the cloud. But yeah, what we going to do when we meet him in the cloud after we get our change in body like we just read? We coming right back down here to rule and reign. We can read that. But first we're going to go back to the Apocrypha. And we're going to go to 2nd Esdras, the 2. 2nd Esdras, the 2. And we're going to pick it up at verse 42. 2nd Esdras, the 2. And look what our brother Esdras, he saw this in Zion. Look at what he's seen. 2nd Esdras, the 2 and 42. We're going to read 42 through 47. It says, I, Esdras, saw upon the Mount Zion a great people, whom I could not number, and they all praise Yahweh with song. And in the midst of them, there was a young man of a high stature, taller than all the rest, and upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? And he answered and said unto me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing, and have put on the immortal, and have confessed the name of Yah. Now are they crowned and receive palms. Then said I unto the angel, What young person is this that crowneth them and giveth them palms in their hand? So he answered and said unto me, It is the Son of Yah, whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of Yahweh. Then the angel said unto me, Go thy way and tell my people what manner of things and how great wonders of Yah thy power thou hast seen. Did you see that? Now let's go confirm this one more again. Then we got about 5 more scriptures and we out of here. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 15, because it's like I said, it's all over the scripture about this tabernacle and this ingathering. 1 Corinthians 15. 1 Corinthians 15. We're going to pick it up. We're going to pick it up. We ain't going to read this whole thing because there's a lot in 15. We're going to start at the 12. We're going to start at the 12 here. And we're going to read 12 through 23. Then we're going to skip 2 more times. We're going to read 12 through 23 first. Let me give me a sweet. 12 through 23, and I read. Now, if Mashiach be preached that he rose from the dead, how say some among you that there is no resurrection of the dead? So if Christ didn't rise, or Christ did rise, excuse me, How can they say there is no resurrection of the dead? But if there be no resurrection of the dead, then Yeshua is not risen. And if Hamashiach be not risen, then our preaching is in vain, and also all your faith in vain. So to you non-messianic maniacs, if Christ has not come, died, and risen back to the Father, what you don't? I mean, why even bother? Why go out and even say anything about Israel or anything else? Because if you don't believe in the Messiah, your hope and your work is in vain, brother. So if Christ hadn't come and risen, hey man, we all stupid. And everything is for nothing. 15. Yeah. And we are found false witnesses of Yah. So if you're a non-messianic and you spitting on Jesus or Yeshua, then hey man, you're a false witness of Yah. Because we have testified of Yah that he raised up Hamashiach, whom he raised not up, if so be that the dead rise not. For if the dead rise not, then is not Hamashiach raised. And if Hamashiach be not raised, your faith is vain. And ye are yet in your sin. Ain't no forgiveness, because you don't have the Levitical priesthood. You don't have a red heifer. You don't have a tabernacle. You don't have a veil. So you can't keep killing animals no more. So if Christ ain't died, then what you doing? What we doing? Verse 18. Then also which are fallen asleep in Hamashiach are perished. So when you just, what he's saying, if you, the ones that died in Hamashiach, then they just prepared, they done. There ain't nothing else for them. If in this life only we have hope in Hamashiach, we are of all men most miserable. If all we can do is hope in Hamashiach and then die, it ain't no resurrection, then what we doing? We might as well eat, drink, and be merry and get buck wild and do what we want to do. If ain't no resurrection or no judgment. But now is Hamashiach risen from the dead and become the first fruits of them that slept. For since by man came death, by man came also the resurrection of the dead. For as in Adam all die, even so in Hamashiach shall all be made alive. Skip down to verse, let me read that 23. But every man in his own order, Hamashiach, the first fruit, after they that are Hamashiachs, at his coming. We read about over and over, at his coming is when he gonna gather his people, and that's when he gonna raise up the dead in Christ, and the ones that still believing in Christ that's remaining. If you be so blessed to be in that first resurrection, then you're gonna come after that. Skip down to verse 35. We're gonna read 35 through 34. Awake to righteousness and sin not. For some have not the knowledge of Yah. I speak this to your shame. But some will say, how are the dead raised up? And with what body do they come? Thou fool, that which is thou sowest is not quickened except it die. Anybody know anything about horticulture, agriculture? When you put a seed in the ground, it actually dies first before it begins to bud and be reborn and start yielding fruit. So he's using this as an example. So when you go in that ground, you're going to yield some fruit. You're going to get something, good or bad. It said, and that which thou sowest not that body. I'm sorry, let me go back to 36. Thou fool, that which thou sowest is not quickened except it die. 37. And that which thou sowest not that body that shall be, but bear grain. It may chance of wheat or some other grain. So either you're going to be in the wheat or you're going to be the tare, but you're going to bear some type of grain when you come up out that ground. When they put you in that ground, either you're going to be a wheat or you're going to be a tare. He said either wheat or some other grain. But Yah giveth it a body as it pleased him. and to every seed his own body. All flesh is not the same flesh, but there's one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, and another of fishes, and another of birds. There are celestial bodies, okay, and bodies terrestrial. But the glory of the celestial is one, and the glory of the terrestrial is another. There is one glory of the sun, and another glory of the moon, and another glory of the stars, for one star differs from another star in glory. So he's just making these examples. It's all different kind of flesh in his universe and in his word. And he said there are celestial bodies, which we have, and then there are terrestrial bodies like the angels and the Father and the Son had. Okay? 42. So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption. It is raised in incorruption. It is sown in dishonor. It is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness. It is raised in power. It is sown a natural body. It is raised a spiritual body. There's a natural body and there's a spiritual body. For the sake of time, we're going to skip down and read. We're going to go to verse 49. We're going to read 49 through 54. Now look at what it says. And as we have borne the image of the earth, and everybody that's been born bears this image of the earth, we shall also bear the image of the heavenly. Now this I say, brother, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of Yah. Neither does corruption inherit incorruption. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep. Going back to that 1 Thessalonians 4 and 13. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. We read about that in Matthew 24 and in Daniel 12. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying which is written, death is swallowed up in victory. And Paul just quoted Isaiah 25, I think around verse 8 is what he just quoted. All right. Now let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. We got a few more after this. We're going to be out of here. So now let's see, once all this changing takes place, where are these immortals going to dwell at and rule and reign and live at? Let's go to Isaiah 2. Good. Isaiah 2. Isaiah 2. Isaiah 2. And we're going to read verses 1 through 5. Then we're going to move to the next time. Isaiah 2. And we're going to read verses 1 through 5. It said, the word of Isaiah, the son of Amos, let me read that and start it over. The word of Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Yehuda and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Yahweh house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And my people, and many people shall go and say, come ye, let us go up unto the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his path. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. Verse 4. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords in the plowshare. They ain't gonna want to fight no more. And their spears in the pruning hooks. Nation will not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. O house of Jacob, come ye, let us walk in the light of Yahweh. And he said, many gonna shine forth as the sun, like we read over there in Daniel. Many gonna shine forth as the sun. All right, let's go to the next place. Zechariah 2. Zechariah 2. This is where the saints are going to be living and dwelling and ruling and reigning in Jerusalem. Zechariah 2. When you get your glorified body, if you so be blessed. Zechariah 2. And we're going to read verses 1 through 12. We're going to read almost the whole thing. Zechariah 2, verse 1, and I read. And I lifted up mine eyes again and looked, and behold, a man with a measuring line in his hand. Then said I, whither goest thou? He said unto me, to measure Jerusalem, to see what is the breadth thereof, and what is the length thereof. And behold, the angel that talked with me went forward, and another angel went out to meet him, and said unto him, run, speak to this young man, saying, Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls, for the multitude of men and cattle therein. For I say, Yahweh, will be unto her a wall of fire round about. So when we go back to the land, ain't gonna be no more nobody making us scared and afraid, because the most high power is gonna be there, and will be the glory in the midst of her. Ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north, said Yahweh. For I spread you abroad as the four winds of heaven, said Yahweh. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwelleth with the daughter of Babylon. And we in the midst of Babylon right now. For thus said Yahweh of hope, or Yahweh Zabaoth, Yod-Heh Zabaoth, the Lord of armies. After the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye. For behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants. Did you hear that? You're going to be a spoil unto us. And ye shall know that Yahweh of hosts has sent me. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion. For lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith Yahweh. So we going to be dwelling with the master. We, Israel, he going to be living in the midst of us. And many nations shall be joined unto Yahweh in that day, and shall be my people, and I will dwell in the midst of thee. And thou shalt know that Yahweh of hosts has sent me unto thee. And Yahweh shall inherit Judah, his portion, in the Holy Land, and shall choose Jerusalem again. Did you hear that? Go to Zechariah 14. We got one more after this. Stay in Zechariah. We're gonna go to Zechariah 14. This is where when the ingathering takes place, then those temporary dwellings, those booths are done away with, and then you get those heavenly tabernacles. This is where everything's gonna be centered around Jerusalem, our master, and the children of Israel. Zechariah 14. We're gonna read 1 through 12 here. Behold, the day of Yahweh cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations unto Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall Yahweh go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fought in the day of battle. And his feet shall stand in the day upon the Mount of Olives. So for all my Sunday brothers and sisters, ain't no going to heaven. He said his feet gonna stand upon the Mount of Olives. When it says in that 1 Thessalonians 4 that we're gonna meet him in the cloud, but yeah, we coming right back down here. It said his feet shall stand upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof, toward the east and toward the west. And there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south. And ye shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azar. Yea, ye shall flee like ye fled before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. And Yahweh, my power, shall come, and all the saints with thee. So when Yeshua come back, everybody that met him in there, the dead that was raised first, and the righteous that are alive, go meet him in there. And he said, all the saints is coming with him. All the saints coming with him. Verse 6, and it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear nor dark, but it shall be one day which shall be known to the power of not day nor night, but it shall come to pass that at eventime it shall be light. And it shall be in that day that living water, we read about that in that Revelation, and we read about that in that John, that living water shall go out of Jerusalem, half of them toward the former sea, and half them toward the hinder sea. In the summer and winter it shall be. And Yahweh shall be king over all the earth. In that day there shall be one Lord, and his name one. All the land shall be turned as a plain from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem, and it shall be lifted up, and inhabit in her place from Benjamin's gate unto the place of the first gate, unto the corner gate, and from the Lord, and from the tower of Hanel, unto the king's winepress. And men shall dwell in it, and there shall be no more utter destruction, but Jerusalem shall be safely inhabited. And this is the, I'm sorry, I want to skip down to you know what? Let's skip down to verse 20, y'all. Skip down to verse 20. In that day shall there be upon the bales of horses holiness unto your house, and the pots in the Lord's house shall be like the bowls before the altar. Yea, every pot in Jerusalem and in Judah shall be holiness unto Yahweh of hosts, and all their sacrifice shall come and take of them and see therein. And in that day shall there be no more Canaanite in the house of Yahweh Zabaoth. Last place. Back to the Apocrypha. Go to 2nd Ezra, the 13. 2nd Ezra, the 13. Here. 2nd Ezra, the 13. We're going to pick it up. We're going to pick it up at verse 1. We're going to read verses 1 through 13. Then we're going to skip. Denise Grace, now, sister, we don't have any assemblies in Orlando. There are some brothers that I know down there. I had to get their names and everything to you, Denise Grace, but Order Melchizedek, we don't have any assemblies in Orlando. We're based here in Memphis, and got some brothers that we fellowship under the Melchizedek banner in the STL. You hear me? But I know some brothers down there that's speaking the truth, that's walking this thing out, and we'll get that information to you. You can hit me up on my email, truehebrew02@gmail.com, and I'll get you that information, okay? All right, last place. Again, that's truehebrew02@gmail.com. Last place. Let's go to 2nd Ezra in the Apocrypha. We're gonna pick it up at verse 1. And we're gonna read 1 through 13, then we're gonna do some skipping. We're gonna read 1 through 13, then we're gonna read 18 through 19, then we're gonna skip down to 32, then we're gonna skip down and read 35 and 36, and then we out of here. 2nd Ezra, the chapter the 13, verse 1, and I read. And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night. And lo, there arose a wind from the sea, and it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with thousands of heaven. Thousands. He said he's going to come with all the saints, didn't he? This is the coming of Yeshua. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. Everything gonna be trembling when Yeshua get back. Everything gonna be trembling. I don't care what it is. It's trees, rocks, birds, beasts, man, mountains. Everything gonna tremble when he come back. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that was seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice. That's in Zechariah 14 and 12. All things that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it filleth the fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. What mountain was that? We just read about the Mount of Olives. But I would have seen the region or place while the hill was graven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were so afraid, yet durst fight. And he said, he told them all, come on, y'all come on up here and fight. Come on up here. Verse 9. And lo, he saw the violence of the multitude that came. He neither lifted up his hand, nor held his sword, nor any instrument of war. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude that were prepared to fight, and burned them up, every one, so that upon a sudden and innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. And afterward, I saw the same man come down from the mountain and call unto him another peaceable multitude. And there came much people unto him. And they say they're going to beat their swords in the plowshare, and they're going to come up and worship the God of Jerusalem, of Israel. There came much people unto him. Wherefore some were glad, some were sorry, and some of them were bound. What? And other some brought up them that were offered. Then was I sick through great fear, and I awakened and said, that is shown. Make sure you're going back. All right, skip down. I'll tell you what. Let's skip down to verse 18 for the sake of time. Verse 18. Now understand, the things that are laid up in the latter days, which shall happen unto them and to those that are left behind. Verse 19. Therefore they are come into great perils and many necessities, like as the dreams declare. Verse 20, I'm going to read verse 20. Yet it is easier for them that is in danger to come into these things than to pass away as a cloud out of the world, and not to see the things that happen in the last days. And he answered and said unto me. Now, let's go skip down to verse 32 for the sake of time. And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen, which I showed thee before. Then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as the man ascending. 35, skip down to 35. But he shall stand upon the top of Mount Zion. We just read about that in Zechariah 14. And Zion shall come and shall be showed to all men. Didn't it say all of them gonna come up? Being prepared and builded, like as thou sawest the hill graven without hands. You can read about that in that Revelation 37. And this is my son, and this my son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into tempest or into the lake of fire, and shall lay before them their evil thoughts and torments, which they shall begin to be tormented. He said, going to be weeping and gnashing of teeth and over the new book, didn't it? Which are like unto a flame, and he shall destroy them without labor by the law, which is like unto fire. The ingathering, the feast of booths and tabernacles. All praise, honor, and great glory is unto our power. The power of Abraham, the power of Ishak, and the power of Jacob. To our brothers and sisters in the faith, we salute you. Happy Feast of Tabernacles, Sukkot, the ingathering. This your boy T Boogie. We out of here. We're going to holler at y'all one more game. Shalom.